Just hours after these chilling images were released by the FBI, obtained from a Nest camera of an armed person wearing a mask and gloves outside Nancy Guthrie's home, last night officials detaining a man in connection with the case, but then releasing him, according to the New York Times. Pima County Sheriff's Office saying they questioned someone after a traffic stop and searched a house in nearby Rio Rico. This man, Carlos Palazuelos, saying he was stopped while working his delivery job.
They put me in the cop car. I gotta wait.
And then let go hours later.
I hope they get the suspect, because I'm not it.
Saying in another interview that it's possible he delivered packages to Nancy Guthrie's address, but he didn't know her. The sheriff's office not commenting, saying only that investigators completed their search of a property and the investigation is ongoing. The agonizing search entering its 11th day, with officials now hoping for leads from that newly released footage, which shows the subject tampering with Nancy's doorbell camera, at one point covering it with plants from her yard. Savannah reposting the video on Instagram, writing, "Someone out there recognizes this person. We believe she is still out there. Bring her home." While none of the images clearly show the person's face, in some you can see what appears to be facial hair around the person's mouth, and in these, distinctively shaped eyebrows showing through the eye holes of the mask. A handgun can be seen here in a waist holster. The person also wearing gloves and carrying a backpack. Until now, investigators had not been able to retrieve any footage from Nancy's home.
Between the data getting to the server and the camera, there's stops in between, and there's going to be pieces of that data possibly that could be recovered.
FBI Director Kash Patel saying last night the agency had to work with private companies to get the footage.
We were able to execute lawful searches and go to these private sector companies and expedite results, and then go into their systems and actually excavate material that people would think would normally be deleted and no one would look for.
Patel also saying authorities were looking at persons of interest in the Tucson area.
And I do believe we are looking at people who, as we say, are persons of interest.
And since those terrifying images were released, the FBI does say they've seen many more tips from the public coming in, but authorities still have not identified a suspect, and the Sheriff's Department has not said why it is they detained that man last night and whether they had reason to believe that he was the same person we've now all seen in those images. Craig.
All right, Liz Kreutz for us there in Arizona. Liz, thank you. Joining us now, NBC's law and intelligence correspondent, Tom Winter, and Bryanna Fox, a former FBI special agent and professor of criminology at the University of South Florida. Good morning to both of you. Tom, let's start with the subject who was detained overnight, questioned and released. What more do we know about that, and where does the investigation stand as we sit here this morning?
Right, so people understand, and we're going to take a look at the video shortly that was released from Nancy Guthrie's house. This individual wasn't detained just because somebody picked up the phone and said, oh, I think it's that person. This investigation into this person had been ongoing for a short period of time. There was a number of different things in that person's background and some of the evidence that they were able to uncover, which led authorities to believe, you know what, we really want to talk to this person. We got to figure out what this person is all about. And on top of that, let's not forget something that you said, Hoda, which is this was a court-authorized search. So they had some probable cause. They went to a judge and they said, Your Honor, there's a reason here that we want to lawfully search this person's property. Ultimately, and this happens in investigations, it was determined that there was not enough to hold this person to continue the questioning process. Whether or not this person is ultimately charged, we don't know. At the moment, though, they're presumed innocent, obviously awaiting any sort of further information, and the investigation very much continues.
Okay, so in this case, they may have the wrong guy. They're looking for the right guy. We've got all this video that came out yesterday. It's captivated everyone. There are so many people who are speculating. With your eyes, when you look at the video of this individual coming up to the house, what stands out to you?
Well, a number of things stand out, and we can actually take a look at the video, because when you look at what they found yesterday, as you see this person approach, there's a quick flash there. If you catch it, coming out of this person's mouth, there it was. So there's some sort of a flashlight that appears to be in their mouth. Look at their head. It's facing the ground, almost as if they know that this camera is there, and they want to make sure that they're not detected. But as we start to see this play out, there's a number of interesting things that come up, including, if you look at the waistband, there's a gun that is there. That is obviously very chilling. That's very concerning. This individual clearly armed. Now you see it in his left hand, screen right. That weapon, it's circled there in the middle.
Who carries a weapon that way? That seems unusual when you look at it.
Well, it's the type of thing where if you're trying not to be detected, you don't have to carry it there, particularly when you have all of those clothes. So are you trying to intimidate something? That's something that they're looking at. You've got this person clearly wearing multiple pairs of gloves. I think that that's very obvious from the video. You're looking at the gloves right there as he approaches the camera. Later, we're going to see this individual actually try to pick up some vegetation off the ground, put it on the camera in a way to try to obscure it. That's something that's got everybody's attention. You're looking at the vegetation right there, possible flashlight in the mouth. But ultimately, there's a critical point here where he turns and you see this backpack. First off, that backpack is stuffed. I mean, it is full. What is in there? Investigators want to know. You're looking at it now. But it's one thing to have light-colored pants. Everybody's got those. Another thing to have a fleece jacket. A lot of those that are out there. But when you match that up with a backpack that looks this distinctive, what the FBI is doing, I'm sure of it, is going to every major retailer, all the online retailers, the local retailers in Tucson, and saying, hey, who purchased these items all together? And obviously, for anybody that's watching that knows somebody who has that, particularly given the gun and holster, that's key.
Bryanna, when you see those images, when you see that video, what do you glean from it?
Yeah, there's a few big things that we can notice. One is that he clearly did have some premeditation. He came there intending to do something very terrible, but didn't quite think it all the way through. A small thing like having a spray paint or electric tape could have alleviated that, you know, the need to go find plants to put over the camera. I mean, that's something that when, you know, the original FBI profiles, which were the organized and disorganized offenders, they kind of neatly categorized them into those two. We started noticing, especially with, you know, research that I've been doing with the behavioral science unit, they don't fit always neatly into those two categories. There is this group that are kind of premeditated, but haven't quite gotten all the way there yet. So that's one thing I noticed. Another is there's an image of him standing with no backpack on. And then he walks over and does have the backpack on. So it makes you think, you know, where was that located? Was that in a vehicle? Does he have an accomplice? Was it just dropped off and sitting there? There's something that happened that changed this pattern.
Is there any profile when you look at him? I mean, you've been with the FBI, age, anything else that you can glean from that?
Yeah, at the onset of this, I did expect it to be somebody that was male, 30s to 40s, probably with a criminal record. But that's not just my, you know, profiling abilities. That's statistically who is most likely to have committed this crime. This image, you know, we can't quite see age, we can't quite see gender. We can interpret it a bit, and it does seem like those are fitting. And I would also say that this person probably has, you know, behaviorally, a huge ego. I mean, the idea that they would come in like thinking, you know, with that, the way they held that pistol.
And just kind of slow moving, just the whole, he seemed very lackadaisical, didn't he? Tom, do you think that walking back, walking forward?
The whole thing is very odd. He's approaching it clearly aware that there's a camera, but to Bryanna's point, doesn't take steps to immediately disable the camera. We find out later from the sheriff's timeline, in fact, the camera is taken from this property, taken off the door and taken from the property. So, yeah, what is the point of all this? The other thing that struck out to me is we don't see a car in the background.
Right.
So how did he get there, and does he have anybody helping him out? Again, to Bryanna's point of where's this backpack at some point? Was there somebody else around the house?
All right. Tom, Bryanna, thank you both. Thank you for the insight. Thank you for the analysis. And, of course, we will bring you the very latest updates as they develop. And, again, a reminder, anyone with any information in this case, urge to call the phone number right there, 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.